We're back, y'all. It's Chastity, Andrea, and I wanted to do a video today just to be informative and educational about buying versus renting a house. So I know that it's so controversial and such a hot topic on the internet to talk about, oh, you're paying all this money in rent, you might as well buy a house. First of all, I am a real estate agent and a real estate investor, and I've owned a house, I've rented, so I feel like I can speak on it, at least give my opinion on the situation. First, let's talk about renting, because more people rent than they do buy. At least they'll start out being a renter and then they'll transition into buying a house. Renting is, I think, a great stepping stone into independence, managing your money, and figuring out, what can I afford? What lifestyle can I afford for myself? Because it's the least amount of responsibility outside of, being obligated to your lease. You're obviously paying a fixed amount per month, usually, and then for however long your lease term is. And you don't usually have to worry if you're in an apartment, because you can rent a condo, apartment, or a house. So depending on your lease, there are some things that you might be responsible for, but generally, let's just talk generally speaking, you're not responsible for the maintenance of the property. So like if something breaks, you can just call the leasing office or put in a maintenance request or call your landlord, whatever. You don't pay a mortgage, you're paying rent. So if somebody's mortgage goes up where you live during the term of your lease, that doesn't have anything to do with you. You're still going to pay the same amount. Nothing's going up until maybe after your lease is up. If you want to leave, then once your lease is up, you can leave and go somewhere else. You don't have to worry about, okay, I'm stuck with this apartment, I'm stuck with this house, or I'm stuck with this condo. It's just less of a headache, if you will, less responsibility when it comes to the commitment aspect of it. You can kind of evolve as a renter. Maybe you liked this apartment, but then you kind of don't like it no more, or you saw something else, or they built a new apartment, or you got a job and you want to move because you want to be closer to your job, or you got a job out of town and now you need to move out of town. It's for people, in my opinion, who may not be financially prepared or educated enough to buy a house. B, people who just don't want that responsibility that comes with buying and owning a house. Some people know what comes with it and they just don't want it. People who are kind of still figuring out life, they don't really know what they want out of life. They don't know who they are yet. They just know they need somewhere to live. Because at the end of the day, we can argue about this till the cows come home, but you need somewhere to live. Whether you're living with somebody, living by yourself, you need somewhere to live. Now let's talk about the cons of it all. You are spending money every month, but it's not going to build into any type of equity or ownership for you. You're just you're taking it month by month, just making sure you have somewhere to live. You're not building equity, wealth, ownership. You are helping the landlord pay their mortgage. Even if the landlord doesn't have a mortgage, you're putting money into the landlord's pocket. And okay, my opinion about that is, okay, I know people think you're wasting money on rent. I would only say that if you were to qualify and check off all the boxes of someone who can benefit or is ready to own a house. If not, I don't really see it being a waste, because if the money you're spending every month is literally keeping a ceiling and walls to protect you from the elements outside, that's never going to be a waste to me. ever. You can say it's a waste, but I just don't agree with that. We need somewhere to live. Let's talk about buying. When you buy a house, you are working towards having an asset. It's not an asset until you have substantial equity or until the house can make you money. It's not an asset as soon as you buy the house. It's a liability. I don't think people want to talk about that. I don't think people want to talk about that. Do people know the difference between assets and liabilities? Assets are things that have value, add to your net worth, and can make you money. A liability is something that's going to cost you money, make you spend money, or could cause you to lose money or profit. Now, it's tricky when you think about real estate, when you think about assets and liabilities. So I'll give you like a clean example. A paid off house, despite property taxes, because we'll never fully own our properties with property taxes in place. But no mortgage. It is in good shape. It does not need to be repaired. It does not need to be flipped. The house is in great shape. And it has more value in it than when you bought it, or when you obtained this property, the value has gone up. That's an asset because that can make you money either when you sell it or you rent it out. A liability is a car. You know how they always say, as soon as you drive off the lot, the car loses value because you're putting miles on the car. The value of a car, in most cases, unless it's like one of those antique cars or something, the value of a car is going to go down. And you're paying the same amount every month on a car note for a car value that's constantly going down. That's a liability. That's something that's costing you money, it's not making you money, and it's decreasing in value. When you are buying a house, initially it's a liability. So you're taking on risk from the jump because pray to God, that nothing unfortunate happens, but you need to be able to afford this house because you're likely signing on to a 30-year loan, and you are saying that you're going to pay this house back within 30 years, whatever the price may be. But the price of your mortgage could go up over the course of that 30 years because if the house value goes up, then the county or the city could evaluate or assess the value of your house. And if they say, oh, the value of this house went up, we need to increase the property taxes. If your property taxes increase, your mortgage is going to increase. If your property taxes increase, your mortgage is going to increase. So the way rent kind of stays the same, at least for the course of your lease, and it might go up, it might go down, but if it go up and you want to find something cheaper, you can get out. With a mortgage, you're not getting out. You can get out by selling the house or, having somebody, qualify and take over your mortgage. But if you can't do that, then you're the one on the hook for the mortgage. Let's start there. With renting, it does cost money to move, regardless if you're going to rent or buy. It costs money to move. I would say the cost is a lot cheaper for renting when it's time to move on to the next thing versus when it's time to buy a house. So with renting, you got to pay movers if you don't move the stuff yourself, which I'm not moving nothing. I'm way too small for that, and I'm a lady. Movers, you got to pay for security deposit. You got to pay first month's rent. Some people make you pay last month's rent. Application fees. Let's say you look for multiple apartments and you're trying to find where you want to stay, and you found a couple places and you're trying to see where you get approved. Let's say you apply somewhere, you don't get approved. There go that application fee. And now you gotta do it all over again. So application fees can add up. They can. And deposits can add up. Now, with the application fees and deposits, you can save for that a lot quicker and work towards that a lot quicker than what you need to be prepared to buy a house. With buying a house, you're going to need your down payment. And I have a whole opinion about down payment assistance. That's a chunk. That's a chunk of money right there. That's going to be anywhere from 3 to up to 20%, depending on what your situation is, of the purchase price. So we're talking tens of thousands of dollars just for the down payment. You're also going to need your closing costs. That's going to be another 4% as the buyer. You're also going to need your appraisal, $500 to $700. You're going to need your inspection, maybe $200 to $300, something like that. You're also going to need reserves. What are reserves? Reserves are funds that are set aside for several months worth of mortgage payments. Your lender is going to want to see that. Your lender is going to want to see that you have everything that I just named. They're going to want to see that you have it, because nobody wants to waste their time. You shouldn't want to waste yours either, but nobody's going to want to waste their time running around acting like somebody about to buy a house that they cannot afford. I'm just saying. Think about that. When people are on the internet saying, hey, you're paying all this money in rent, you could be buying a house. Just stop. Stop telling people that. Stop saying that. You don't know what people can afford. You don't know what people have saved. So I would just ignore those messages. Now, along with buying a house, after you buy it, you got to own it. You got to own it and maintain it. That's a whole nother set of funds. So if something breaks, there is no maintenance line to call. There's no leasing office to call. You are the people that you need to call. And then you got to call somebody who is going to fix it for you if you don't know how to fix it yourself. And then you need to go ahead and vet those people to make sure those people are capable of doing what you're spending your money on. Because let's say you pay a plumber. Your pipes burst, you need a plumber. So the plumber you hire does not do it right. You got to hire a different plumber. But guess what? You're not getting that money back. That money is gone. People don't want to talk about that, but that's a real thing. The money you spend to maintain your house is a totally different set of funds. If you're going to buy a house, have money saved up. I know the question might be, well, how much money? It depends on where you live. If you live in New York, you probably need to save a different amount than somebody that live in Mississippi. You got to figure out what's the average to lower end price point in the market that I live in. If you feel like you want a starter home, look at the lowest to average sales price in your zip code, in your county, in your city, so you can kind of see, okay, this is what I'm working with. Then you can start calculating from there. Remember the numbers I said. So let's say the average going price in your area is $250,000. Go ahead and multiply that times 3%. Go ahead and do 3.5%. So that would be your down payment average, give or take a special circumstance. Like special circumstance being you're a veteran, they're gonna pay. You don't have to do that. So you know what I mean. So like, it's certain things that once you talk to a lender, you'll figure out if you qualify for certain things. But just run your numbers and then talk to somebody to see, what do I need to actually qualify once you save some money. Even if you are a veteran, you still need to save money for inspection, appraisal, maintenance on the house, your reserves. You still need to do that. Another thing you need to save money for nowadays, really should have been the whole time, but another thing as a buyer that you need to save money for is paying your agent a commission. Yeah, I'm not even gonna dive deep into that, but long story short, you need to save another, like everything I just named, add that up, and then go back and add another 3%-ish. This is the average. This is like a average I'm giving you. So it could be more or less. It could be a flat dollar amount depending on what you negotiate with your real estate agent. But let's just say, for the sake of saying, 3% times what the cost of the house is as far as the purchase price of the house. That's what you need to set aside to pay your real estate agent. Because guess what? If the listing agent or the seller is not willing to give your buyer agent compensation, you are going to have to pay them. If the listing agent or the seller is not compensating your real estate agent, you're going to have to pay them. So go ahead and add that on top of everything I just said. Go ahead. It's a huge responsibility and a huge turning point in life to buy a home. You have all types of things that you need to be prepared for versus if you're going to rent, you don't have as much that you need to set aside and consider and calculate. And I would just say, look at where you are in life financially. Number one, that's number one. Where are you in life financially? If the answer is I can't see myself buying a house right now based on my finances, then don't. I don't care if you're 70 years old. For real. If you're like 70 years old and you've never bought a house and you look at your finances today and your finances just don't allow you to buy a house, then don't. That's the real answer. When I say look at your finances, I would say, what are your monthly bills? Like all of them, not even like, don't skip one. You could skip a tiny one. Like I don't know, if you go to the Dollar Tree every 2 weeks and you spend $40, whatever. But I'm saying car note, car insurance, health insurance, renter's insurance, rent, gas, groceries, if you like to travel like I do. If you have maintenance on your, like personal maintenance that you do that you don't really want to give up. Like if you have kids, oh God. If you have kids, like daycare, childcare, if you have like stuff for kids, that's a whole nother bill. If you have pets, if you got dog food, vet bills, pet insurance, if you have a life insurance policy, you got to pay every month. If you got a savings budget that you contribute every month, credit card bills, loans, other loans that you got to pay back. If you run a business, your business, like for real, you got to just write down everything that costs you money and then write down how much money you bring in per month. And if when you get done, it's a negative, or if you get done and it equals out to zero, or if you get done and you're positive $100, something like that, where you're cutting it close and you skating on thin ice, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And this is coming from a realtor. Because I could just tell y'all, I could get on here and be like, home ownership. I could do that and you know, get my check, and after that, the problem is on you. I'm just being honest because I just feel like it's worth telling the truth, because the truth is out there anyway. Just don't do it until you see you got some flow coming in, or if you come into a large lump sum, somebody give you a gift, you hit the lottery, you get a big raise. The key is to live beneath your means. And I know that's hard for us women. Like, I'm talking to myself right now, for real. Live beneath your means and wipe out as much debt as possible. And that's if you want to buy a house or not, in my opinion. I feel like that's just if you want to be free. But it'll definitely help you buy a house. Wipe out as much debt as you possibly can. If you got medical bills, go ahead and just start knocking off your medical bills. Those are the easiest ones unless you have a fat medical bill. Whatever the case may be, just knock out the smallest bills first and you'll feel good about yourself. Now I'm turning into like a motivational speaker. The point is the point. And the point is, if you want to buy a house, go and buy that house. But I just say be ready. If you want to rent, then rent. There's nothing wrong with renting. And if you evolve and you want to take it a step further and buy something, then buy something. Because guess what? The world got to spin regardless. How you going to have rental properties if nobody wants to rent? I would be able to go to Walgreens if nobody wanted to work at Walgreens and be a cashier. How would we go to dinner if nobody wanted to be a waiter? How would our kids go to school if nobody wanted to be a teacher, nobody wanted to be a principal? How would the hospitals get clean if nobody wanted to clean up and clean hospitals? Don't shy away from wherever you are realistically. And if you transition into something else, perfect. But the world gonna always keep spinning the way it is, and it's always gonna be somebody that wants to rent, and it's always gonna be somebody that wants to buy a house. So don't feel the pressure to do one or the other. Do what's best for you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on socials. Instagram, Chastity_Andrea. TikTok, it's Chastity_Andrea8. And yeah, just wait on my next little nugget that I'm dropping.